What if the reason you can't lose weight isn't your diet, isn't your exercise routine, and isn't your willpower? What if it's one single hormone, quietly working against you every single day? That hormone is insulin, and most people have never been told how it actually works. Here's what you need to understand. When insulin is balanced, your body is a fat-burning machine. When it's chronically elevated, and for millions of people it is, your body locks fat in storage, drains your energy, and may even accelerate the aging process. And the worst part? Standard advice: eat less, move more, barely touches it. So today, I'm giving you 7 science-backed, completely natural ways to bring insulin back under control. No prescriptions, no gimmicks, just your body working the way it's designed to. Stay with me, because number 4 alone could genuinely change the way you think about metabolic health forever. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugar, your blood glucose rises. Insulin's job is to act like a key, unlocking your cells so they can absorb that glucose and use it for energy. That's a beautiful system when it's working right. But here's where it breaks down. When you're constantly eating, especially high sugar, processed, refined foods, your pancreas has to keep pumping out insulin. Over time, your cells start to become resistant to its signal. They stop responding. So your body produces even more insulin to compensate. Now you've got chronically high insulin levels, a state called hyperinsulinemia, and that's when things go sideways. High insulin tells your body, don't burn fat, store it. It signals your fat cells to hold on. It blocks the hormones that would normally mobilize stored fat for energy. Research suggests that persistently elevated insulin plays a role in inflammation, cognitive decline, and metabolic aging. The good news? This is highly addressable. Let's get into how. First, something cheap, accessible, and genuinely supported by research: apple cider vinegar. ACV contains acetic acid, which has been shown to slow gastric emptying. When food moves more slowly, glucose is released into your bloodstream more gradually. That means a flatter blood sugar curve, and in turn, a more measured insulin response. Studies show that vinegar ingestion before a high-carb meal reduced post-meal blood glucose and insulin in insulin-resistant subjects. ACV is not a magic eraser for poor metabolic habits, but as part of a broader strategy, it's a smart, low-effort addition. Mix 1 to 2 tablespoons in about 8 ounces of water and drink it 15 minutes before your largest meal of the day. Do not drink it undiluted. The acidity can damage tooth enamel and irritate your esophagus. This one sounds almost too simple to be true, but the research is clear. The order in which you eat the foods on your plate changes your insulin response. A study out of Weill Cornell Medical College had participants eat the same meal: protein, vegetables, and carbohydrates, but in different orders. When participants ate the carbs last, their post-meal insulin levels were significantly lower compared to eating carbs first. Some findings show reductions in post-meal insulin of up to 37%, though it's worth noting that results vary by individual and meal composition. Why does this happen? Protein and fiber slow digestion and trigger satiety hormones like GLP-1 and PYY, which moderate the blood sugar spike that drives insulin release. By the time the carbs arrive, your digestive system is primed to handle them more efficiently. So, protein and vegetables first, carbs last. That's it. You don't have to change what you eat, just the sequence. Start implementing this today. Third, your gut health directly influences your insulin sensitivity. The gut microbiome plays a major role in regulating inflammation in the body. When the gut lining is compromised, bacterial compounds can enter the bloodstream and trigger systemic inflammation. That chronic, low-grade inflammation is a major driver of insulin resistance. For better insulin control, supporting your gut is non-negotiable. Ginger is well studied for its anti-inflammatory properties. Ginger also supports digestion and circulation, helping your body clear metabolic waste more efficiently. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin, which has been linked to improved blood flow and circulation, and some research suggests it may support insulin sensitivity. Garlic has demonstrated antifungal, antiviral, and antibacterial properties in research, and its sulfur compounds are strongly anti-inflammatory. Also consider reducing ultra-processed foods, getting adequate fiber, and if appropriate, adding a quality probiotic. Alright, this is the one I told you to wait for: berberine. Berberine is a bioactive compound found in plants like barberry, golden seal, and Oregon grape. It's been used in traditional medicine for centuries, but in the last 2 decades, modern science has started catching up to what those traditions already knew. You might have heard people call it nature's Ozempic. Ozempic works through GLP-1 receptor agonism, while berberine primarily works through AMPK activation, which acts like a metabolic master switch. Different mechanisms, but the functional outcomes show legitimate comparisons in research. So what does berberine actually do? Multiple clinical studies have found that berberine can significantly reduce fasting blood glucose and improve insulin sensitivity, with some studies showing results comparable to metformin, a common diabetes medication. It also supports healthy cholesterol levels, mitochondrial function, and has demonstrated cardiovascular benefits in research settings. It has broad antimicrobial properties as well, meaning it's been studied against certain bacteria, fungi, and parasites. However, that doesn't mean you should use it as a replacement for medical treatment of infections. Broad antimicrobial activity in a supplement is very different from a targeted antibiotic prescribed by a doctor. Berberine genuinely lowers blood sugar. If you are diabetic or on any blood sugar medication, speak with your doctor before using it. The combination could cause your levels to drop too low. Do not self-treat any infection or serious condition with berberine in place of medical care. That said, for metabolically healthy individuals looking to support insulin sensitivity naturally, berberine is one of the most compelling supplements in this space. Typical research doses range from 500 milligrams taken 2 to 3 times daily with meals. Fourth, this might be the single most underrated metabolic tool available to every human being on Earth. And it's completely free. Walking after meals, specifically within 30 minutes of eating, has been consistently shown to blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes. A study found that even a 2 to 5 minute light walk after eating meaningfully reduced glucose and insulin responses compared to sitting. Aim for 10 minutes if you can. Research suggests a 10-minute post-meal walk can reduce blood sugar spikes by roughly 22% on average. When your muscles are active, they can absorb glucose from the bloodstream directly, through a non-insulin dependent pathway. Your muscles act as a sponge, soaking up blood sugar without needing insulin to do it. Less glucose in the blood means less insulin needed. So, after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, walk. Even 10 minutes. Make it non-negotiable. This single habit, done consistently, can produce measurable improvements in insulin sensitivity over time. Insulin can only be elevated when you're eating. So the most logical way to lower your baseline insulin levels without changing what you eat is to eat less frequently. That's the core logic of intermittent fasting. When you fast, even for 12 to 16 hours, insulin drops. And when insulin drops, your body transitions from fat storage mode to fat burning mode. Hormones like glucagon rise, which mobilizes stored fat for fuel. Human growth hormone can also spike during fasting windows, which supports muscle preservation and cellular repair. Simply compressing your eating window, say, eating between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. and fasting the rest of the time, gives your insulin levels a meaningful daily reset. Skipping a late-night snack or moving your last meal earlier can improve fasting insulin markers within a matter of days. Intermittent fasting is not appropriate for everyone, but for most healthy adults, this is one of the most powerful levers for insulin control you have access to. Muscle is your body's primary glucose disposal organ. The more lean muscle mass, the more efficiently your body processes carbohydrates and sugar, without needing as much insulin. Muscle tissue is highly insulin sensitive by default, and strength training makes it even more so. When you lift weights, you create micro damage in muscle fibers. As they repair, they become larger and more metabolically active. GLUT4 receptors, the proteins that allow cells to absorb glucose, increase in density in muscle tissue. More receptors means more glucose uptake, hence lower insulin demand. This is why resistance training is considered one of the most effective long-term interventions for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes risk reduction. About 3 sessions per week of resistance training is more than enough to produce real results. Compound movements, squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, give you the most metabolic return for your time. Build muscle. Lower insulin. Burn fat. That's the equation. Insulin is not your enemy. It's a brilliant hormone doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is the modern environment. Constant food, high sugar, low movement, chronic stress, has pushed it into a state of chronic elevation for millions of people. But you now have 7 tools to change that. Apple cider vinegar before meals. Eat protein first. Heal your gut with anti-inflammatory foods. Consider berberine with appropriate guidance. Walk after every meal. Try intermittent fasting. And build muscle. You don't have to do all 7 at once. Pick 2. Start tomorrow. Then add more. Small consistent changes in insulin control can lead to real, visible, lasting shifts in your body composition, energy, and long-term health. This isn't hype, the research is there. If this video gave you something valuable, share it with someone who needs it. And drop in the comments, which tip are you starting with?